Welcome to another episode of Hanging with the Huns with your host, Todd and Carrie Hun. Hey y'all, welcome back. Episode 5 of The Story of Us. I'm the host, Todd. This is Carrie, co-host.
Hello.
Lovely wife. We're hanging with the Huns. And we left off. We were headed back to Florida. And so we made that journey.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
And
So now we're back. We moved back to Florida from Missouri. You are going to Orlando for your school.
to check in at school.
I am going to help my mother with my papa, who is sick, and that's the only reason why I wanted to get back to Florida. So now we are kind of going to be separated for a little while you go to Orlando, and I'll be in Jacksonville with my parents and the kids. So me and the kids are staying at my parents' house. So my mother and I go and assess the problem at Papa's office, his company. So he had gotten dementia, and he was no longer able to keep his business going. So we had family members coming in, trying to keep it going and helping him out there. And then, of course, we're planning and trying to plan for him to go into a home assisted living with him having the condition he needed to be cared for properly. And then also with us trying to get the business, we are keeping the business going for him, hoping to sell it. And so that's what I'm doing. And then while you are...
So I'm down in Orlando. So I checked in at school at a Motorcycle Mechanics Institute, and they had a lot of services that were that I could use to find an apartment. So I immediately found an apartment and moved in there, and I had a roommate that was another kid that went to the school. And so we had a 2-bedroom apartment that we moved into there. And then at the same time, I was looking for a job down there, and they had a job basically like a department you go into, and they search for jobs and everything in the area. And I found a job at a concrete, like decorative concrete flooring, garage floors, kind of pool decks, that kind of stuff. And so I started working there, and was going to school, started that off, and everything was going according to plan. And so every weekend I would come home. Friday I'd leave after school, come home to spend time with the family, and it was like a 2.5 hour drive from Orlando to Jacksonville. So I'd stay with the family, and then I would head back Sunday evening and then start school all over for the week. Did this and that, back and forth the whole time for a little over a year. So we
So while you're going to school, now I'm okay. So I'm staying with my parents with our kids, who are, of course, a newborn, and so she's about a month old, and then our son's about 3. Yeah, so 3 and a newborn. So my mom's also helping me with the kids while I'm going into the office to see, deal with there was drama there, and just it was a difficult time to just try to work all that out for, we just didn't want to lose the business. Basically, it was my papa gets sick, and
there was people trying to basically take over the business.
Yeah.
And in his absence,
they saw an opportunity, and they wanted to take it.
There's a lot of shadiness going on when he wasn't there.
So I had to go in and fire some people.
Yeah.
And so I was letting these people go, and then I had to hire new people. It was just a couple people. The ladies, they were just amazing, and I was so thankful for them. They were basically the ones running it everything, keeping it going. And then we had my really good family friend come in and help too, and I was very thankful for her. Couldn't have done it without her. So basically, we just got things going, kept it going. My papa gets sick, so he has dementia, but he gets sick also during this, and um, we have and then we have another family member that's coming into play. And so she's coming and going, and that was
That's a
made
whole
things a little
whole other
interesting.
issue.
So yeah, we'll have a story on that another time. But anyway, so trying to juggle a toddler, newborn, a papa being sick, running a business.
On her own when I'm at school.
Yeah, but God was with us. I know God was helping us through everything, because I don't even know how I would have gotten through all of that without prayer, without just the faith that I had, to just knew what I had to do. And I just wanted to try to work everything out, and I definitely didn't do it on my own. God put everybody that we needed in our lives at the time to make that to make it happen, and I'm just so thankful for that. So
She basically had to run the business as it was running as good as possible, so it wasn't, so customers weren't stolen, and so the business didn't fall apart in time to sell it, because the goal was to sell it, because her papa wasn't going to be able to come back
and I wasn't
and
gonna
work.
I wasn't gonna let that just
And
go
I
down
mean,
whenever he worked so hard for what he
there was so
built.
much chaos and shadiness going around. There was people just, trying to just sabotage the whole thing,
Taking advantage of the
and so
situation.
Carrie, she doesn't know anything about this kind of business, but she went in there and did her best, and at least kept some order in there, and until they they
Well, so my mom had talked to somebody that was interested in buying the business before I even got back to Florida. So she already knew that we would be able to sell it, and so we just had to keep it going until that was ready to be done. But in the meantime, so my papa gets sick, and I had to take him to the hospital. So I took him to the hospital, and it was really bad, and that's where he ended up. He passed away at the hospital and did not come back home. I did plan on him to come back home, because I prepared to move into his house. And well, just going a little bit, let me go back a little bit, because we were talking about putting him in a home assisted living, and he refused. He did not want to do that. He wanted to stay in his home. So I was willing to move in with the kids and help him, but he never came back home. So
yeah. And when this was all happening, I was down in Orlando, obviously, and I was starting work, and I had met a really good friend. He ended up being a really good friend of mine. But we were working together, taught me everything, trained me how to do it, and it was a lot of fun. We had a lot of fun, learned a lot of stuff, and that business was very there was a lot of work coming in, so we were busy all the time. And then I was going to school on top of that, and then I found a church down there in Orlando, and the pastor was awesome, and he ended up putting me on the worship team there, and I was playing drums for that. So that was only, it wasn't very long, probably a few months, because I still had to, I still wanted to come home and be with my family. So I think I was there like every other week for a few months until.
well, first let me go back to, okay, after just real quick about after my papa ended up coming back home. So we had a funeral. So we had the funeral, and then that's when not far after that we had the friend come, and well, I call him friend because he has a friend. He's a dear friend now.
Yeah.
So he came in to buy the business, and we were able to make that happen, and went smooth. I was thankful that he even offered the ladies jobs to come work for him if they wanted to, so they wouldn't be out jobs. I think one, maybe a couple did. I know our family friend ended up going to work for him.
They
And
were definitely a godsend because
yes, God totally worked that out. And
they
I'm so
handled
thankful.
everything and they were honest and they weren't trying to, do anything
No, we were like
shady. And
family. I mean, but
yeah,
once I got rid
there's
of the ones that were taken over, the rest of us were just like family and just trying to do what we had to do, knowing that they respected my papa and just loved him too, where they didn't want this business to
yeah,
just go away and just
definitely.
be, not, carry on and take care of the customers. I mean, that I know papa wanted us to make sure his customers were taken care of, and that's what we did. And we're just so thankful that we were able to transfer them over to that new business, and along with our friends that went with them, everything was taken care of. And then I ended up still moving into my papa's house with the kids, and so that's where I was staying uh until you were going to finish school.
Yeah,
Eventually, I mean, that's what the plan was.
right.
I would just stay there until you finish school, and then I was going to, I was going to go see you, because I remember I went to that church that you were going to for a little
Right.
bit and got to meet those people, and that was special.
Yeah, I
They
think
were
you
really
came
nice.
up for the weekends. Maybe that's what it was. You came up to me
We would take
or came down to
turns.
me, and yeah, okay.
Yeah, because I at that point I'd sold the company, so I didn't have the job, and but I was taken care of, for a little while to, until we got back on our feet. Or
Right. So that
yeah,
was going to be our church experience
yeah.
when we were going through this whole time. And we were in Jacksonville driving around one day and we heard on the radio station.
Because we were only listening to the Christian
Yeah, it
radio.
was like the promise. We heard an ad for a church and it sounded awesome. It was a mobile church coming to town and they were like, we need basically everyone, they need musicians and people, to work all the different ministries
Just
and everything
everything,
in the
yeah, because
nursery,
it's church
everything.
plant,
They were
brand new.
building a church. So it wasn't there yet. We called immediately on that one and I talked to the pastor, Pastor A, I'll call him. And he met us probably a couple days after that at Starbucks and we hit it off. We loved him. He was awesome. And he told us about the vision and like we had never, I'm pretty sure that church was the first one in the area to do a mobile church. I
Yeah,
mean,
I'd never heard of anything
yeah,
like it. It was
nowadays they're like
totally new.
everywhere. Everyone's doing a
Yeah,
mobile church, but we were the first.
it was exciting.
We met with, yeah, it was very exciting. We didn't really know what we were getting
Nope,
into, but
we were we were
we're doing it
excited.
anyway. I mean, as if, we didn't have enough on our
Yeah,
plate going on. We're going to
why
into
not?
building a church every Sunday. And yeah. So
Yeah, we just jumped right
we
in.
we basically met them and then I'm not really sure how long after that it was that they started, but it was pretty quick. And we met at the movie theater in Orange Park and we had all the equipment, everything in the trailer, and we had giant heavy stage pieces that I'm pretty sure those were stored at the movie theater. So we would build the stage. We'd get there in the morning, early in the morning, build the stage, then set up all the equipment, get all the sound, get everything going.
And I was working in the nursery, so we had to set up everything in the nursery. And the first part, we were in like a lobby area that we kind of set up to be the nursery
Yeah, it was.
right outside the theater, or it was inside the theater, but not in the movie
I think
theater part.
we were all pretty much
The
winging
lobby.
it at that time.
Yeah.
Like nobody really knew. It was trial and error. And I mean, the movies, usually they started later at like noon, but sometimes they'd be early.
Oh
Like I
my gosh.
remember Chucky, well, it was probably 15, Chucky 15 by then. But Chucky was playing in the movie theater that we were doing church in. So like as we're winding down and like packing up, there's people coming in
I know, with
with
their
popcorn
popcorn.
and everything. And it's like it's such a weird
It's like, oh,
experience being
the
at
movie's
church
gonna
and smelling
start.
popcorn and everything. It's like, what the heck?
Yeah.
So but we would do basically load in all that stuff, do church, and then load out
Tear
in
down.
time, tear it all
Set up,
down,
tear
and put it
down.
back in the trailer by the time the movie started. And I mean, there was a couple times where we had some hiccups in there, and like pretty sure, I don't really know about the staff at the movie theater, but they seemed to work with us, when we were doing that. But anyway,
It went
it
it
was
went pretty good. I mean, it went pretty well. I mean, we made it work for a while.
yeah. So now I am going to school, working through the week, coming home Friday, 2.5 hours, spending time with my family, building a church Sunday, and then headed back after that in the evening.
And at
then
that point, I
starting
think
all over again.
I think I was preparing. I think we were going to plan on just moving in with you, but because since after we had sold the business, yeah, we were going to plan on doing that. But until then, I just wanted to go back to where when I was staying at my papa's house with the kids. I'm there alone, and I had a ghost encounter.
Well, let me first say this house is like
Oh, yes.
it was, I don't want, he had a lot of stuff, like a lot of, he had trains
A
and
lot of
stuff.
collectibles.
It was
He
really cool,
collected a lot of things.
but it was like a strange house because it was real low and dark. Like the house was really dark. That's what I noticed when I
Yes,
first came in there.
it was.
But I mean, it was an older house, and but anyway, so she had
So I'm staying there
couple
alone
experiences.
with the children, and while Todd is in Orlando. And yes, there was a couple of encounters. Well, the first one was
Our son Mason.
he's like 3 years old. He's sitting on the bed in my papa's room, and I hear him talking, and I'm in the living room with our with my baby. Anyway, so I hear him talking, and I go in there, and I'm like, "Who are you talking to?" And he's like, "Papa." And I'm like, "Okay." And so I'm thinking maybe, but then I'm like also thinking about this conversation I had with a friend at church tells me that sometimes there can be spirits that are that will
Imitate.
because they know who, after somebody has passed away that's close to you, and you're familiar with them, they want to familiarize themselves with you and imitate the loved ones that have passed. And so of course I thought that too, so but I wanted to believe, okay, it was Papa talking to him, so I wouldn't be freaked out. Well, after that, the next thing that I experienced was after I had went to bed one night, I felt a tap on my nose. And again, I wanted to believe, okay, that's just Papa. I'm just not, I'm just like, and I'm praying, and I'm just like, Jesus, just protect us. Yeah. And so got through the night, got through that, but it was really what really freaked me out. One day, and it was probably the next day. It was probably soon after that. So Mason comes up to me and says, Mama, Hook said I should. Oh, I can't
We'll
say
bleep that out.
Oh,
That's
I
fine.
can't say that.
It's
Anyway,
all right.
it was exactly
he
those
said.
words, and I said, "Who's Hook?" He goes, "That's my friend," and I was like, "No, he's not your friend," and that was enough. I was like, "That's it. We got to get out of here." And I was like, "Nope." Packing up our bags, and we're getting out of here. I was done. There was nope. And so that's when I was like, okay, we have got to move out of this house. I cannot stay here anymore. I don't know what's going on. And so that's where we pretty much got everything packed up, moved out, and I was moving back with you. And as we're leaving that place, he says, Hook says he can't go with us. He has to stay here. I said, yeah, that's right. He's not allowed to go with us.
Yeah, right.
At that point, I'm like, yeah, that's right. He's bound to that house.
Yeah.
He is not coming with us. Oh my gosh, that was crazy. So
That is.
we moved to
Especially
Orlando.
when you're alone,
Like, nope.
Not the best neighborhood.
Oh, but that same day, my aunt comes up, same
So
visitor we had.
let me just say something about her aunt. She's going to be on the podcast because her story is amazing. but she was not in a good place back then, and
Mm-mm.
I like could not. The hair on the back of my neck would stand up whenever she was around. She had like a demonic stronghold, and it was so much so where whenever she was around, if I was around, I'd be like, "Let's go," or I
She couldn't
I
even
want,
look at you. Like
yeah,
that
she
day we are moving out, she just shows up out of nowhere. I'm like, I don't even know. Like, where did she come from? She just walks up and she's talking only to me as if you weren't even like there. Like
right,
it's like you didn't even exist, and she's just talking to me. And I think you even said something, and she would not even look at you. It was the craziest thing,
yeah,
and I had a hard time talking to her because I just looked at her thinking this is not my aunt. Like
right.
I who like it was so strange
There's
that
a lot of darkness around that whole area.
but
That whole situation was very
yeah.
dark,
Well, she
and
was living there before me also, so she'd been in and out living there, and so I mean, I don't know, maybe not saying anything. Like she brought the demons, I don't know,
yeah,
but it was crazy.
it,
So, and I think she was looking to move back in. I think that's why she was there, and I was like, "Go ahead, it's all
yeah,
yours. I'm out of here."
yeah, exactly.
So we moved
But
to
but
Orlando to stay with you.
another thing about her, I want to say
Oh,
is I've there's been two people in my life that I was like, there's no chance God will work in their life, and that is my ignorance, obviously, but it's also a great testimony for me personally that I see, that how God can work in anybody's life. It doesn't matter how far gone you are. I mean, I used to say, like my brother, he's too into his church of NFL. That's what I always would say. I was like, he doesn't even want to have anything to do with it, and God proved me wrong there. I mean, he proves me wrong all the time, and I love it because I'm like, this is beyond me.
yeah,
I could
it's
never see that in the
nobody is
in the
too
future,
far
and
gone.
and
Nobody's
to
too far gone.
see how far her aunt has come. I
Well,
mean, it's
first,
amazing.
okay, so there was that encounter, and that was the situation she was in at the time. But even, and it was years though, years, because I remember praying for her, and I remember standing in prayer for her. I remember being at church where they said,
Right.
it doesn't matter if they're here or not. If you have somebody you want to pray for, you stand in prayer and you pray for them. And I did. We did. And even like when you didn't had your doubts, you still prayed for her. We still prayed for her.
Yeah,
And
of course.
and I cannot wait to have her on the show to talk about her story. It's amazing,
Yeah,
and
she's
it just is
amazing.
truth. It just shows that God can do anything. With God all things are possible. No one is too far gone, and I can't wait for everyone to hear her story. Now moving on, we're in Orlando, so we've moved to Orlando, me and the kids, and now we're all together in the little apartment there until
Yeah,
you finish school.
right. I took the small room. I don't know why, but we were basically just
But your
um
roommate would I think he ended up finding another place, or he just
yeah, but that was like right at the end, so
yeah.
we ended up moving into his room later. But I was going to school, working, and then the whole family would come home
Hmm.
now on
Yes,
Friday.
because we were dedicated to the church and
Yes,
serving.
and we were staying with like a different family. It was so cool. We'd stay with one of the church families, just about a different family
Yeah.
every time we'd come
We're like, okay,
out,
who's
and
next? I think
yeah,
we
who's
want to
got
get
the hugs
listed
this
next.
week?
That
It's
was
an
fun.
awesome time. I mean, we got to meet
Got
and
to
really like hang out
really
and
get to know them.
make
Yeah, all our friends. Yeah.
some really strong.
Friends that became family.
Exactly.
It was awesome. We had great conversations every time that we would go there to stay with our friends, and just yeah. And then the kids, of course, would be get to know their kids, and they would be like their cousins, or it'd be like just their family growing up with them, and it was awesome. What was it?
So that was like our routine
Yeah.
for over a year. All those things. I mean, it pretty much flew by because we were so busy. We didn't have any downtime at all. I mean, sometimes we would have to stay in hotels. I had I have a really good friend that helped us out financially through that whole time. I mean, she helped us out a lot. So super grateful for her. I don't know if we could have done it without her. But so we did all that and kept kept the routine going, and I mean it went pretty smoothly. We were into the routine.
I think again that's just with prayer and just God being with us and just working out everything that we needed. I mean, he provided everything we
Yeah.
needed. And
Otherwise,
it could have been chaos. It could have, our kids even like they would just go with the flow. I was just so thankful that they were just I don't know. I mean, we were like what traveling gypsies.
yeah, pretty much. Yep.
It was interesting, but it worked out. So I think then when you finished
So I finished
school,
school. It was months, I think, and I graduated with perfect attendance on all my classes, which is crazy. I had perfect attendance in all my Harley Davidson schools or whatever sections, and then I had great attendance in one early model Harley Davidson because I actually had the flu and I missed one day. I was like, I can go in, but I don't even care. So I missed one day out of all that. And with all that going on, I mean, it's crazy what we accomplished.
oh,
But anyway,
so before you finished school, though, you were just about to finish school, but I went ahead and moved back with the kids, or we went and stayed with a friend that ended up letting me stay there for a little while I was looking for a job to get prepared for, getting a job. So when he come, because you were going to have a job set up, I believe they set you up on a job, so you
yeah.
had that already set for you. I had to find a job, so I come and stay with a friend. I was thankful for her to let me stay there with both kids. And then it wasn't that long though. I ended up moving in with a cousin who took me in with the kids until you were going to be moving back after finishing your school, getting the job set up. So now we're both at my cousin's, and you start your job, and then I found a job, and we weren't there that long because as soon as I found a job and you're in your job, we're looking for another place to actually live with the kids.
Right. And I started working at Harley Davidson, and I was a technician there. And that job, like, I don't want to say I hated it, but
It was
I
stressful.
friggin' hated it. Honestly, I didn't like it. It's like working at any retail place, and they just have really cool motorcycles there. I mean, the people. I don't know. I don't want to badmouth anybody, but it was obvious that I won that scholarship to bring me back to Florida. It had well, not necessarily because I end
No.
up working
Yes.
in an awesome place, but
Well,
that's later
also,
on.
were you were able to meet your friend in Orlando who gave you the job
Yeah,
that
exactly.
ended up being, a friend for life, I
Yeah,
mean,
so I was working at Harley and doing. I mean, I did fine. It's just not my cup of tea. And so basically, I was there for what, a year
well,
maybe.
okay, well, we found a place in Orange Park,
Right.
and so we moved in there, a little townhome, and then we started the preschool and daycare. So so because we're working and everything, and just continuing on to church, with our friends. And so yeah, things were just we thought were gonna be flowing, and that was gonna be it, but nope.
Yeah. So
Here goes another
next
adventure.
is kind of crazy. Well, so I'm working at Harley, just doing my thing, and
And I get fired.
yeah, she gets
At my
fired.
job. But it's only I do have to say, look, I didn't get fired because of what I did. I got fired because the lady that was there before me, apparently the boss loved her and did not like her leaving, and what did not like her leaving so much that he ended up talking her back into coming back. And so when she came back, he was like, "Bye, you got to go."
Yep.
So I was like, "Okay."
So I get a call from my buddy that I worked with in Orlando. He calls me from Louisiana and says, "Man, I've got so much work out here. We were doing windows and like replacement windows for all the storm affected homes in New Orleans and all down there in Slidell and all the whole area down there in Louisiana after Katrina hit. It just wiped out all the homes. Well, the homes that were still standing, that all their windows were gone. So there was so much business doing replacement windows. It was crazy. So he's like, "Hey man, if you come out here, you will make killer money. I'll put you up in our house, your family until you find a place." And I was like, "What?" So now I'm
You're gonna
thinking,
move again?
is God telling us to move to Louisiana? And so we were praying about it and everything, and it just like everything kind of opened up for us to go there. And we hated to leave our church family, but once again, I mean, how many times have we done it already?
And it seemed like it was what we needed to do at the time. We're praying about the situation we're in and how do we get in a better situation. And sometimes I guess it means move. And so our son just finishes preschool, graduated from preschool. So then, so he's what, 4, almost 5 when we leave. Yeah, because he'll be going into kindergarten. And then our daughter was about 3, no,
She would have been 2.
2. She
We
just
had
turned 2.
people at our church like, "Are you sure about this?" I had, good friends that were in the leadership there. They're like, are you really sure about this? And I was like, "Look, we're very sure. We prayed about this, and it's definitely, we're stepping out in faith. Like, I have no idea what to expect, but I know this is the door we're supposed to walk through." And as crazy as it seems, taking the whole family again, we're moving 1,000 miles away or however far it is. So we pack up and head to Louisiana.
Yep.
And load it up, and we didn't have to break our lease or anything. I mean, it was what, 6 months?
Yeah,
Anyway, it's not important.
Yeah, we
didn't
worked
have
it
to
out.
do anybody wrong. It was perfect timing. Everything was perfect about it. So we went there, and we stayed with a really nice family and stayed with them for a while. And we were looking for a place to live out there, and working down in New Orleans area every day, and just, I mean, like, we were making tons of money, and so everything was good. We found a single wide
little trailer,
mobile home, I guess it's called, trailer.
There was like literally nothing around there, and this was like it. We're like,
it was
take it.
Definitely like Louisiana living. I was like, we are trailer people right now. And so we seriously, it was awesome.
We were not ashamed.
Oh my god.
Like,
Yeah.
well, we gotta find a place.
Yeah, I mean, it wasn't
again.
bad. It was really long and thin.
Anyways, a single wide. And it was new. It was pretty much brand new. It was nice. I mean, it was nice for a little trailer. So I found,
So
we
moved
found
in
it,
there.
and we found a great church that we started going to there. And it's one, I want to call it a mega church. It was one of the churches that
a mega church.
they actually pay you to be part of their, I was part of the ministry,
right.
the children's ministry. So I was working in the nursery, and they actually paid me. So it was an actual paid job. And that was amazing. I was like, okay, I can be with my daughter. Cause at this point, our son's going to school. He's in kindergarten. And so this is my job that I had during the day. Actually, no, this was, well, the weekend still. And then I had a daycare. I ended up meeting somebody at the church that had a home daycare. So I would work at a home daycare, and then I would work at also the church. So I had those 2 jobs that I was working, and I was able to be with the kids. And that was what was important to me at that time, because they're little. I was trying to find whatever way that I can be with them at this point and not get a job where I was, working in an office. So this worked out great. I was happy.
And that was the only church I've been to where they paid the musicians, but I wasn't on the worship team.
Oh
So
yeah.
interesting. I
Yeah.
don't know if I even tried to get on it. I don't remember. So our daughter fell ill, and she had we don't I
Well, we
don't
didn't
even
know.
know
She
what.
had a really bad fever in the middle of the night, and we had to rush her to the hospital, emergency room in Louisiana, and like
Yeah, she was real
closest
lethargic,
hospital.
and
She just was not doing good. It
yeah,
was really
she's.
scary. We didn't know what was wrong with her.
So we took her to the hospital and checked her in, and they ran a bunch of tests on her.
They didn't even know what
They
was
could
wrong with
not
her.
figure out what was
She's
wrong with her.
admitted at this point though,
Yeah,
and they're just trying to figure out what's wrong. So that was so scary because if the doctors don't even know what's wrong, and they, what do you do? Well, I will tell you, we were praying. I was praying that I probably prayed the hardest I've ever prayed.
yeah, it was scary,
Whew.
definitely. And they actually found that she had a blood infection.
Bacteria blood
It's like
infection. Well, it was they described it to be a bacteria infection of the blood. And because I remember talking when they told me that, and I remember talking to our pastor's wife from Jacksonville, the church that we were real close with. That that was our family. Even though we were in Louisiana, we still stayed connected. And I remember telling her that, and she said that her brother got that, and he had died from it. And so, of course, I'm like, what? You know,
Yeah,
so now I'm like really freaking out, and so now we're getting the whole church there to pray for her. And I will tell you, there is a scripture that stuck out when I was reading scripture and praying, and it stuck with me, and it's just what really got me through. And it was John 16:33. It's I have told you these things so that in me you may have peace. In this world you will have trouble, but take heart, I have overcome the world. That right there, that's Jesus speaking. And that right there, I just held on to that and knowing, okay, we have this trouble, we have this situation, but you know what? There's nothing that Jesus can't overcome. There's nothing we can't overcome. And I just believed in that and stuck with that. And we just prayed and prayed. And then
the
they came
pastor.
to,
Yeah, they actually flew out to see us and to pray with us and to pray over our daughter, and that was really, that meant a lot to us, because we were worried. They didn't know anything what was going on. They didn't even know how to treat it. And I mean, I don't know. It's weird,
and I
but
will tell you that even being in the prayers or whatever, everything that we were going through, in the midst of all that, she, our daughter, was just the sweetest thing.
yeah,
Like she was just like not letting it get to her. She would just ask to watch her movies that she wanted to watch. She was
right,
just and playing. She'd get out of bed a little bit. She was able to get out of bed, and she'd play, and we'd have her toys. We took pictures. We
yeah.
and it was just, she was just like, seemed like she was fine, and I was so thankful for that too.
And then once they kind of figured out a course of action, they ended up giving her like a very strong antibiotic. And I want to say it was like within a day after
Yeah,
that,
yeah.
snapped out of it and started to come back.
Yep. She
And
got
I
better.
mean, and of course it wasn't just the antibiotic. I mean, it was
Prayers,
all the
definitely
prayer.
prayers.
We had everyone praying for us.
Yep.
And so she bounced back immediately. And I remember the pastor's wife said something to me, and it was something about being in Louisiana. And I remember the look in her face. I don't remember anything what we said, but I remember the look in her face, and it was like, what are you guys doing? You don't belong here. You should come home. It was like that, all in a
And
look.
that's all it took,
And I was
because
like,
we were at that point.
okay.
How do we get
So
back to
now I'm
Florida?
like, and then so I was just kind of like wondering about that. I'm like, dang it, man, I do miss them. I miss our family and everything.
And here I am, just like, okay, we got to
Yeah.
find a way to get back
Well,
to Florida
yeah.
now, because I was homesick. After going through something like that, I wanted to be back with my family, my friends, just back to where it felt like home.
So we started. I don't know if we really were praying for God to give us a way back at that point,
Always.
but it was no, I
Yes.
don't think so. I don't
Well,
think we
I
were
was.
yet. I think we were still just kind of like going with the flow and whatever your will is. But it was
Okay, well,
right
maybe I'll
after
just speak for
that,
myself. I
the
was ready
whole
to go back
economy
to Florida.
crashed and every single window job was done. We had nothing. Like the work, it went from here to here overnight, and there were it was the craziest thing. And I was totally, an asshole to my good friend, and but I was like, what the heck, what am I supposed to do now? We have nothing. We're out here in Louisiana with my whole family. My daughter's just got over an illness, and we have nothing, and like it was his fault. It's not his fault, obviously. So but anyway, so the economy crashed in 2008. I mean, everybody felt that. And so at that point, we're like, well, we have to go back now, but can we? I mean, we had no income or anything. I mean, she was still working for the nursery, but my pay was like cut off immediately. And I mean, we had a little bit of money, but I mean, those U-Hauls are not cheap. And so anyway, we were praying about that, and we ended up finding a way back and said our goodbyes and everything. And I mean, it probably wasn't the greatest leaving, but um, we headed back. I don't even remember. All I remember is when we moved out of that trailer camper. We moved out of the trailer. We cleaned it spotless, better than new, because we had heard from other people in the trailer park, they'll never give you your deposit back. And I was like, we need that deposit back or we're not going to be able to leave.
And we
And
finished it just happened to be like, okay, we can leave now because we're at our end of our lease. So
right,
we can leave.
so they ended up I wrote them a letter, and they ended up giving us our deposit back because the place looked so amazing. They didn't have to do anything. They just basically put a new renter in there. So we got that. And
Oh, and Mason graduated kindergarten.
yes, yeah, from that school.
So
Jeez.
yeah. So we're ready to go back to Florida again.
Yeah.
Let's go.
We didn't have a good experience there at the school either, but that's a whole other story. All the doors were closing.
Yes.
So
and
we're
we
like,
were
what
ready
the
to come
heck?
back.
We're moving back to Florida. So this time it's like, okay, Florida is our home.
Yes.
I don't ever want to leave Florida
Nope.
again. I love Florida. And why do we keep moving out of this place?
And at this point, we're just like, okay, this better be it. Let's hope. So here we go back to my parents' house because thankfully, I'm so thankful that they just take us in every time that we need it.
They're like, oh, come on.
Just take
Come
my
on, we
room.
got some room.
Keep my room. So
Yeah.
so we moved back
Nothing's
in with our parents and or with my parents, and then we end up finding another little place, a little townhome uh, in their neighborhood actually. So we move in there while our son goes off to first grade at the elementary school I went to. So that was kind of cool. Although he was only there for a year, because here we go again. No, this is when we actually we're like done moving.
Yeah.
But we still want to buy
we
wanted to buy a home at this point. This is it. Like, we don't want to move again. So now this is where we're like, okay, we're done moving. Let's go ahead and start.
And I love that lady. She's the landlord
of
the place on Dancy.
Yeah.
She was great. But the neighbors,
we're not going to talk about the neighbors.
Yeah, they had some crazy stuff going on in the back.
Yeah.
The
smells.
Anyway, yeah, it was interesting.
It's like a restaurant next door, but
they had like meat hanging in the back drying.
I don't know what they were doing. I think they were making food and selling food
far, far away. And yeah, that was interesting.
So we're back at our church too that we helped start from the ground up. We went right back,
right where we left off.
Yeah.
And I went to work for a motorcycle place called Big Bike. It was like a big dog American Iron Horse dealership, and that's where I met our great friends. And They're still friends of ours and just awesome people. That
Oh,
was
we had
the
so many.
best
Oh my
experience.
gosh, so many great times with them.
That was my last
So much fun.
experience actually working a job. Like since then, I've been self-employed and doing,
That was your best
music
boss.
and lawn maintenance and everything. So it was a good place to leave at. We love them. They were great people. And that was so much fun working at that place.
We
We
had
just
so
had a
much
lot of
fun
fun.
with them too.
Yeah, exactly.
Good times.
Too much fun.
Good times.
Yeah, no.
Oh gosh. Um, so we're going back to our church. We have a good friend that helps us with finding a home because at this point we need our forever home. We are done moving, and so now I ended up getting a good job. So we have a good job. You have your good job. Now we can buy a home. So
And it actually, we kind of lucked out in, no, it's not luck. It's God.
yep,
I can't say that. It is
because
definitely
we
God.
know a lot of
That
rain.
whole
Always rain.
situation is another crazy situation. When we got our house, it was right when the economy crashed and Obama had just come into office. And it was actually a great thing that Obama did. It was the home credit. It was like $8,000 home credit. And then we got a USDA loan that had no down payment, so we didn't have to pay, like, we didn't have a down payment, and then we had to get, it was something small like $1,500 or something for the closing cost because it was a short sale and it took forever.
Yeah,
I think it took like
short
4
sale. Oh, they
months
call it short sale.
for us to,
Not a short sale.
yeah, it was definitely, it was very nerve-wracking.
Yeah. They make you think that it may not happen. There's a point where it's like, I don't know. At least you
Yeah.
start feeling like, is this gonna happen?
Yeah, so
Are they gonna?
but we got it and we're still here. We love our house.
Finally, our forever home.
Yeah, so we're
And
planted.
it's all in God's timing. I'm telling you,
I know.
for all of that to be set up at that time and that place, and it just worked out great. And finally, we can settle in our home, and yeah.
Yeah, it's like finally. I mean,
How long has it been?
so many, what are the plates spinning in the air?
Oh my
It's
gosh.
like we had so much going on for years, and
And I don't know how.
moving and
I don't know
just-
how we. I mean, I know how we did it, but it's just amazing that it feels like it was so many years. Like it was, but it was not. It was only like what
5 years. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It was
seven
crazy years.
7 years. It felt like triple that.
Yeah, we were
all the moving. And oh my god, it felt like so many lives. We lived so many lives. That's what it
Yes.
felt like. But here we are, and
we made it.
yeah,
We love our home.
Yep. And we've been here how long now?
That's pretty much it. I think we're gonna we've been here 15 years.
Wow.
So 15 years. Yeah. So we're gonna stop our story here and get some. We're gonna have some guests on now.
Well, we also, if
y'all are probably tired of hearing about us.
Yeah, well, that's our crazy story about us. But I really hope that we will get our kids on here so we can talk about some other cool things that we'd like to talk about, but we want to talk about with them because I'd love to hear their perspective also.
Definitely.
Once they, got to experience and we have some crazy things we experienced with them, that they could be here to, I'm hoping that they'll be here to have a story on that. But yeah, so now we will continue with other people's stories, and we're going to start with my aunt, and I can't wait for her to be here.
We're going to call her, make sure, but she should be the next one.
Yes, we plan on having her as our first guest, and we
awesome.
hope that you'll tune in and watch that and hear her awesome story.
Yep. And
until then,
like and subscribe, and thank you for everybody who's subscribed to the channel. We're loving it. Yes. We're having fun doing this, and we're going to keep on going no matter what. Doesn't matter if anybody watches or not. We're going to do this.
We're having a good
It's
time.
fun for us. Like we get to put these memories in the inner space,
Yep.
the
And
interwebs.
we look forward to hearing more stories from others and maybe some musicians. Oh, I can't wait to have some of our musician friends
some bands
on
in here, and
yes, maybe have a little bit of
whatever.
music,
We're gonna have some
little
fun.
jam session.
It's gonna be fun though.
Yes, yes.
Fun
So
from here on.
stay with us, and
the next one's probably not gonna be fun at first. It'll be a little.
well,
It's another crazy story.
We'll
It's
have
good,
some
though.
emotional stories,
Yeah.
but hey, we're gonna have all kinds of stories.
Exactly.
That's what our goal is.
I might even cry in this one. So.
All right. Well, thank you.
All right. Thanks for watching. Love y'all.